Brethren, I pray you sing to the Lord a new song. Sing praise in the assembly of the righteous. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud on their beds. Let the high praise of God be on the mouths of the saints and a two-edged sword in their hand to execute vengeance on the demonic nations and punishments on those peoples, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute on them this written judgment. This honor have all his saints. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Sing to him a new song. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
To see all these pains in the world. How long? Oh, tell me,
Your last name
how
is
long?
Hey, bro, you there, Josiah?
Yeah, I'm here.
You see that 15-piece meal for two sign?
Yeah. I actually seen this.
It's the Christmas spirit, huh?
Uh-huh.
Ain't that something? All them punches and all you do is mess up the wig.
I'm gonna say they didn't do nothing to her.
No bodily damage. She did more damage falling on the floor.
Falling, yeah.
All praises to the Most High, the great God of Israel. Shalom to all my brothers and sisters, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertain the adoption, the glory, the covenants, the giving of the law, the service of Elohim, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom is concerned the flesh, our Mashiach came, who is overall Elohim blessed. Hope all is good and well. Welcome to this fellowship, how Christians twist scriptures to justify pagan worship. Now be honest, how many of y'all opened up your presents today under the tree? Josiah, he was delivering today. Mr. Santa Claus over there. What's going on, bro?
Hey, you took too long. What you was doing?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, we was
Uh-huh.
you know, after Christmas you gotta put the tree up. So
When they say you don't take it down to New Year's, huh?
I guess it's been so long for me. But anyway, how's it going, bro?
Ain't nothing, bro. You know, all praises and honor to the Most High, our Heavenly Father, giving honor and praises and thanks to our Messiah for dying for the sins of Israel only, the Negroes scattered abroad, 12 tribes. Thanking God for His Holy Spirit, which leads and guides us all truth and bringing things back to our remembrance. Shalom to the family in chat. Shalom to my Hebrew my Hebrew family watching in the house with me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, it's
Let's get
another
it.
off day.
For you?
Yeah, for a lot of people. You know, if you worked on today, you got what was called holiday pay. But in any case, you know, you gotta do what you have to do. We subject right now, so if your employer has you in on this day, then you have to be in on this day. You know, this day is just another day to us, you know, another day gone by that leads closer to our deliverance. You know, that's really what we're hoping for. But this topic is inspired by a lot of what I've been seeing over the past couple of weeks, not only from Christianity, but from a lot of people who are, you know, within this realm of belief of knowing the truth of who we are and everything. I don't like to call it being in the truth no more. You
Me
know,
neither.
so
Why
within
not?
this, why don't I like to call it that? Because it's this awakening, although I still believe the Most High is behind it, it's been made in a lot of ways like the other religions. So you got a lot of different divisions, a lot of different beliefs. You know, this group over here believe this group over here believe that. So I just say within this realm of belief of knowing who we are,
Yeah.
you know, and keeping
Because
on that.
it's one thing you can't do is change who you are. You know what I'm saying? We all Israelites, so it ain't like it's a religion thing. So we shouldn't even look at it like that.
Yeah. Brother Yash, what's going on?
What's good, bro?
What's going on? Shalom, family. It's funny, right, that you mentioned that because I was just now telling somebody, damn, not even 5 minutes ago, that I said, you know why the Most High woke us up? He said, why? I said, so we can pray. He woke us up to pray for our other brothers who were blind. And the context that we was talking about was this same thing about this religious mindedness of our people. Yet we stand and not realizing that he woke us up. And our job is to stand in the gap for those of us who are blind. We are the hope of their salvation because we understand that the Messiah is the hope of ours. They don't even understand because they was given something different. And we forget that the Most said that he is full of mercy and that he will abundantly pardon. Yet we rather be at each other's throats. All we trying to say really is I know more than you and I know more than you, but none of us know nothing. None of us was there. We all just waking up and we all trying to find our place in the piece of this puzzle. So they want us not to have love. And if you quarreling, you can't have love, and neither can you find unity if you're religious minded. Because you'll dismiss your brother. And that's just the same as saying what he said, come not near me before, because I am holier than thou. And you forgot mercy and compassion not remembering that you was once there, it may be even worse. Christianity is hypocrisy. And we brought a bit of that spirit along with us. Because we made a relationship into a religion. And reconstructed our reality. That's my introduction. Y'all brought us in on a heavy note, though.
Yeah. Nah, indeed. I mean, that's a good start. You know, I always say that my hope is that all our people be delivered. And we got many parables to show that it's about timing as well. Not everybody gonna wake up at the same time. You got some of our people who are apostate in their belief. Even with some of them, all you can do is just kind of fall back, maybe challenge them, you know, to see if it's something there. But for the most part, we know how that ends up. But yeah, definitely pray for our people, you know, especially in these times. But, you know, dealing with this subject, you have a lot of people within this realm of belief that have now taken on the thought process that Jeremiah 10 in particular is not talking about the Christmas tree. Some of them believe that Christmas is not really pagan. You have a lot of our people who are acknowledging Feast of Dedication during this time. And some may interpret that as a reason to acknowledge this day. Not saying that I'm saying that, but you know, we are kind of all over the place right now. And now you have this attack on Christmas being pagan and the origins of it being pagan. What y'all think in the chat about Christmas? I pretty much know where most of y'all stand, but with that in mind, Jeremiah 10, you know, we're going to look at a few things. We're going to also look at how other versions of scripture, meaning outside of the KJV, when you start getting in the New Living Translations and the ESV, and I said this before, a lot of these versions of the Bible were concocted as a means to pervert what we would say the original is saying, you know. So let me give y'all an example of what I'm talking about. Let me share my screen real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 10. All right. We are familiar with this verse, Jeremiah 10 and 1. It says, "Hear ye the word which Yahweh speaketh unto you, O house of Israel." And if you got the KJV, you know, just read along. It says, "Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs," all right, "the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe." All right, I'm gonna stop right here. Go ahead, bro.
Hold on, bro. Can you read 2 again?
It says, "Thus saith Yahweh," it says, "learn not the way of the heathen."
Okay.
"And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them."
Okay, can we go to Deuteronomy 4 and 19?
Deuteronomy 4:19.
What that say?
It says, "Lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven, and shouldest be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahweh thy Elohim hath divided unto all nations under the whole heaven."
So according to that, the Most High gave them the sun, the moon, and the stars to worship, right?
Yeah.
That's why in Jeremiah 10 they dismayed at them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? Go ahead.
It says, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Yep.
You know, I was gonna say they and they dismayed right now at looking at these so-called UFOs and drones.
I was just gonna say that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
They dismayed like I don't know what.
Yeah. That, I mean, you definitely see a different tone from these people when it comes to that, because they don't know what to think when it comes to that. You know, I'm sitting over here even speculating what it could be, but I ain't dismayed at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we talking about a custom. A lot of people like to be technical when you come here and you read this, right? And they say Jeremiah 10 is not talking about a Christmas tree. All right, now, in our respect, we know that Christmas itself didn't come until later. What I want to say, 16th century, 15th century. You know, when they started blending all these customs together, is what I'm saying. But prior to that, we have a custom of cutting trees down, and as it says in verse 4, I didn't finish reading. It says they deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. So this is a custom that predates what we know as Christmas today. However, this same custom is now today a part of what we know as Christmas. And the Most High is saying, don't learn it. It says they are upright as the palm tree. All right, so we're talking about the hands of a workman in the forest cutting down a tree, right? He cut a tree out of the forest. The work of the hands of the workman with the axe. Now, I'm underlining this part because it's going to sort of, you know, bring together what we're talking about right now. And how they, and what we're saying, how Christians twist scripture to validate this. All right, look at the word in here and keep that in mind. But it says, they are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. Now, this is important because remember, we talking about how people like to use technicality, right? We don't see the word Christmas mentioned here, and we don't see anything like that, but we see a custom.
Also, bro, you know, that's what I see.
Go ahead.
Because this would be the same language the Most High would talk to if he was talking to what, an idol, right?
Yeah.
Same language, right?
Yep.
Silver and gold too, right? Let's go to Psalms 135 and 15. Silver and gold, right? They deck it with silver and gold. The heathens do this, right? If y'all want to be technical, let's be technical then.
Yeah, say the idols of the heathen are silver and gold, the work of men's hands.
Keep reading it.
It says they have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Neither is there any breath in their mouths. They that make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. Right. Now, this in particular is talking about actually shaping the silver and the gold into the form of an idol. That's what this would be referring to. All right. Now over here, it mentions the silver and gold being used to deck the tree that's cut from the forest. But the concept is still the same, right?
That's my point.
Exactly. Go ahead, Brother Yash.
I was gonna say, and they trust in it or show their trust in it by keeping it and then naming it as the birthday of their deity. You know what I mean? They try
Yeah.
to make you feel bad if you don't celebrate their deity's birthday.
Well,
That shows their trust.
they trust in it so much that they don't even know. They'll tell you that they don't even know when their deity was born, which in this case would be their Jesus. Or they'll tell you, you know, history does not document the day he was born. Right. So if you don't know when he was born, how could you attribute a day to his birth? And how do you know that that day doesn't already have some significance to some other deity or some other form of worship? Right? Because you're really breaking the commandments twice by keeping a custom that he didn't command us to keep. Right? And then you're attributing that custom to another Christ or another Jesus. But it said that they are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Meaning you got to carry them around. And everybody grew up with the Christmas tree. And you know when you put the Christmas tree up, right, you have to put it inside of this stand that it comes with. You know, nowadays conveniently you can have those things, but you take the tree, you put it in the stand, and it has like 3 or 4 screws on each side, and you screw them down so that the tree can stand up. And that's your base of the Christmas tree. All right, you put it all the way through till it's touching the floor. The base covers the trunk, and you screw the screws into the base. Now you got a
Went
tree.
from nails to screws.
Right. Right. It says you have to carry it around, you know. So when the Christmas season is over and the tree and the fake Christmas tree, or some people get a real one, you know. Some people get the fake ones because the real ones shed, you know. But after it is shed all in your house and everything, you gotta take it down and put it back up in your attic. You gotta clean up after the tree. You gotta clean up all it's the evergreen tree, so all the petals from the tree, you gotta vacuum them up and all that kind of stuff. Put up your Christmas lights. And so that's an example of how the God you serve, can't even keep up after itself. You have to clean up after it. Just like the idols in Jeremiah, the letter of Jeremiah to the captives in Babylon, when it talked about the idols of silver and gold, how, these idols made of gold and silver, but they collecting dust on them. You got stray animals sitting all on top of them and everything like that. So this is how you know.
Getting pooped on.
Yeah. Birds and everything.
Yeah.
So this is dealing with a custom of the people, the custom of cutting a tree down out of the forest, making it stand upright, decorating it with silver and with gold. All right. And this is in Jeremiah, the 10th chapter. And a lot of people will come here and say, well, this ain't talking about a Christmas tree. All right. But go ahead.
Now I was going to say, what would you say to them?
Just simply, when you look at the verse, it's describing a custom.
Just a custom, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that custom that we can see that is today, right? We can see people doing that today, right?
Yeah.
So what's the problem?
The problem is they don't want to admit that it's a pagan practice. When really it is, because Christianity itself is pagan.
Right.
You know, the Jesus they believe in is pagan. It's a false Messiah. So that's pagan. But y'all got any more thoughts? I want to go through a few things, a few of these videos that y'all see what people talking about. Y'all got any more thoughts? Go ahead.
Play that.
Let me hold on one second. All right, fair use. Check this out.
Imagine being a Christian, telling other Christians that there's something wrong with telling the world that Jesus was born. Is it not the primary responsibility of the church to tell people about Jesus? Why is it wrong to tell people about Jesus on December 25th? Why is it wrong to discuss an event that happened in the Bible on December 25th? The Gospel Coalition actually did a great article on the origins of 1225 as the date for Jesus's birth. They said Tertullian of Carthage noted that Jesus died on the 14th day of Nisan, which was equivalent to March 25th in the Roman solar calendar. In both the West and East, there developed the same tradition that Jesus died on the same date he was conceived. So if people calculated that Jesus died on March 25th, 9 months later, you arrive at December 25th. Eastern churches believe that Jesus died on April 6th, so January 6th is their day to celebrate Christmas. The specific date doesn't matter, but what matters is the message. Jesus Christ was born. Imagine.
Got it all figured out, don't we? So notice she talked about Christmas being mentioned in the Bible, but she doesn't mention where it was mentioned in the Bible. She's using the fact that Christ was born, the birth of Christ, to pretty much sum up that that's a Christmas story and it's in the Bible. What y'all think about that?
So in their eyes, it's all right. And that's what it is. It's in their eyes, it's all right to justify a lie. That's what we just call the ends justify the means. So the truth ain't good enough. But that means anything goes. You know, that shows you that, and that shows you just the same reason. That's the reasoning that they did when they gave us Christianity. Well, all we got to do is just beat them and break them and rape their wives in front of them and say, if you don't worship this God and accept this name, you know, you're subject to the penalty of death. But as long as, you know, but the good thing is, once you do this, you can call yourself a Christian and you'll be saved. Oh, no, not from this punishment. Oh, no, not from my whip. Not from this slavery. Not from your family getting divided. Not for nothing harsh being done to us against you. Not from that. You'll just be saved. So after we beat you to death, at least you know you'll go to heaven.
To the sweet by and by, huh?
Yeah, to the sweet by and by.
She just sounded like she wanted to just celebrate Christmas. And
That's all.
She tried to butter it up, and this is another reason why women shouldn't be talking.
But it ain't that though. It ain't only that though, Josiah. It's the fact that this is the age-old excuse they was running back since ever. That was always their excuse. When I was in the church and I'd be bringing it up to them, that's their excuse they bring up to me. You know? Well, over now we do it like this. No. You know? We do it because of this. That's just means at the end of the day, the ends justifies the means. And that's not necessarily the case in this point. Because it did justify their means, because their mean was that the name of Israel will be put out, blotted out of their remembrance and out of remembrance of the whole world. See, they had a dual purpose for it.
Right.
And our people eat it up because they don't even understand their history. Which goes back to the point. That's why we have to pray for our people. We have to stand in the gap for them because they too weak to stand for themselves.
Look at this. Notice how she used calculations when she talked about the timing of the death of Mashiach, and she went back 9 months and come up with December 25th as the birth, because that was something that they teach. You know, I haven't read anything biblical, but what they believed, a lot of the Christian church fathers and things like that, what they believed and how they determined things was that in the Hebrew cosmology, whenever you were born, the day that you were born, you pretty much died on that same day. You know, and that's how they calculated when Christ was born, and they landed on December 25th.
But he didn't die on that day, which is so funny though.
Let me let her explain it one more time.
I know what you're saying, because when she said that, well, you can do that also though. But because when she said that, I said that's because they had our rightness. And they knew that the righteous among our people, they died on it. Like Abraham died the day he was born. Adam died the day he was born. It doesn't say the day Moses died. It doesn't say
I can't really hear you, Brother Yash.
I was saying, it said Abraham died the day he was born. They had our rights. Adam died the day he was born. You know, the antediluvian fathers, like Noah and all them, they died the day they was born. It was the righteous among our people, and that was just showing they was hijacking. But at the end of the day, if he died on the Passover, you know, I heard her come up with her weird, what was it, a 9-month calculation?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But you forgot that he died in the midst of the week. So how can you get 9 when it should have been 6?
You know, so let me let her explain it one more time. Fair use.
Imagine being a Christian, telling other Christians that there's something wrong with telling the world that Jesus was born. Is it not the primary responsibility of the church to tell people about Jesus? Why is it wrong to tell people about Jesus on December 25th? Why is it wrong to discuss an event that happened in the Bible?
I wouldn't say that it's wrong to discuss an event that happened in the Bible, but if you're going to discuss the birth of Christ, it has to be in perspective, right? Why was he born?
And in truth.
Right. It has to be in perspective and in truth.
Hey, not only that, she's omitting the fact that tree is the event in the Bible that we are discussing. What she's doing is what we call skirting the issue.
Say she's skirting the issue, but it's not wrong to discuss an event in the Bible. It's about putting it in perspective, right? December 25th. You can't really go by that day because the Israelites had their own calendar, and I guess that's the point she's trying to allude to by making the calculation.
Tertullian said, "Who the hell is Tertullian? I mean, we know who he is, but he ain't he. Who is he?
Right.
What gave him the authority? What gives you the authority to write what he said? All this time,
how many years did?
Go ahead, Josiah.
How many years did Christ live on earth?
According to sources, by 30
Yeah,
to 33.
33.
So he had 33
and a half.
33 birthdays, and we can't read one day he celebrated. But she's trying to tie his birth to Christmas.
Like you said, you just want to celebrate it. Why can't we? And what else is you doing on that? Yeah.
Yeah, she on that why can't we type of talk. Yeah.
Because you're an Israelite. And we're not talking about a religion, we're talking about a bloodline.
Yeah, that probably all goes over her head, but
Way over.
let's I want to get some more about this calculation.
On December 25th. The Gospel Coalition actually did a great article on the
Now, notice she asked the question, why can't we mention an event that took place in the Bible, right? But then she goes to a source, the Gospel Coalition. Around 200 AD, Tertullian of Carthage noted that Jesus died on the 14th day of Nisan, which was equivalent to March 25th in the Roman solar calendar. In the East, they made their calculation using the 14th day of the first spring month in their local Greek calendar. In the Roman calendar, this was April 6th. So depending on who you ask, Jesus died on either March 25th or April 6th. All right. In both the West and East, there developed the same tradition that Jesus died on the same date that he was conceived. It says in both the West and East, there developed the same tradition that Jesus died on the same date he was conceived. So how do you come up with
How you see
December
that?
25th? Huh?
How is you seeing that?
I got super eyes, man. Got super eagle eyes. I got that supervision.
Got that eagle eye.
Yeah. It says an anonymous Christian treatise from the 4th century North Africa stated that March 25th was the day of the passion of the Lord and of his conception. For on that day he was conceived, on the same he suffered. So where do we get December from? I want to get that. If this article is saying that according to their beliefs and traditions, you died on the same day you were conceived, and they're saying that he died on the 14th day of Nisan, which was equivalent to March 25th, which is around the time most people keep the Passover that we know of today, right? Somewhere within that time frame, they keep the Passover. So where is December 25th coming from?
The origins of 1225 as the date for Jesus's birth. They said Tertullian of Carthage noted that Jesus died on the 14th day of Nisan, which was equivalent to March 25th in the Roman solar calendar. In both the West and East, there developed the same tradition that Jesus died on the same date he was conceived. So if people calculated that Jesus died on March 25th, 9 months later, you arrive at December 25th.
All right, so is that what the article said?
She took the path of least resistance.
She made it sound like she just sort of added that in there, because if the source is saying that he died on the 14th day of Nisan, which is equivalent to March 25th on the Roman calendar, right? How does December 25th line up with that? Y'all think maybe she misread the article?
Nah, because see what the article did was one source said March, the other one March the 20th, whatever March said. The other one said April. One said March 25th. That's what they said. And
Yeah,
the
the
other
other
one
one
said
said
April
April
6th. You know what I'm saying? So if they went April 6th, now it's January 6th. So they had a quagmire and Christmas was already established. So that what we're listening to is what you call revived system or alternative fact.
But if he died on the 25th, according to them, the 25th of March, and you die on the same day that you're conceived, how does December 25th come into play?
My thing is this. My thing is not even that. My thing is this. And how many people do you know have died on the day that you conceived?
Right. So it's just a speculation used
It's a
to validate.
speculation. Because that's nothing that you've observed in your life. The one who close, I know one person closest he came to that was my brother. He died the day before.
Yo, Dakota said it's wrong.
I know it's wrong.
Yep.
I only know one person whom that happened to, my brother. One.
Yeah. I believe the article is wrong too.
Yeah, it is.
A speculative article used to validate December 25th.
Use to validate a speculative religion.
Yeah. Fair use.
Eastern churches believe that Jesus died on April 6th, so January 6th is their day to celebrate Christmas. The specific date doesn't matter, but what matters is the message. Jesus Christ was born.
Now, you know what I would like to ask somebody like her? What if, and we talked about this, what if, and I would ask any woman this, what if you're seeing a guy and he celebrates your birthday on the day that another woman's birthday is on that he knows? How would you take that? Would you know? How would you take it if he says, well, it really don't matter the exact day that you was born. What matters is that you were born and that you're here. So any day can be your birthday, right? Why December 25th is the question.
And I play with one of y'all like that. I wouldn't play with his birth like that. You get what I'm saying?
Right. That's something you would think you got to get correct, right?
Yeah.
Like name another god that is worshipped on a certain day, and that's not really the day that, you know, whatever you worshiping took place on, whether it's a birth, some special event in history that they acknowledge, it's all on a set day. You know, even Thanksgiving, even though it's not on a set day, it's still set in the way that is operating when it comes around. You know, the last Thursday in November is Thanksgiving. Right. December 25th. It's the birth of Christ, but we don't know exactly when he was born. And it doesn't matter the exact day when he was born. Right. What matters is he was born, and hold on real quick. That's all that should matter, right? Fair use. I got another one.
Christmas is not a Christian holiday. It is a pagan holiday.
Hey, everybody, I don't think this is an accurate statement. Certainly things like gift giving and revelry were borrowed from the celebration of Saturnalia. And many times we have pagan communities converting to Christianity and continuing some of their traditions. So we have pagans bringing evergreen boughs into the home, decorating with them. And then Protestants innovate on that in the 16th century in Germany and decorate full trees and then bring them into the home for Christmas. So there are relationships in some of the traditions, but those traditions differ wildly around the world. And already by 200 CE-ish, we have Christians identifying the 25th of December as Jesus's birthday based on ancient traditions about the date of someone's death relating to the date of their conception. 9 months later, we have their birth. And those calculations predate the arrival of Sol Invictus's celebration in Rome on the 25th. And Saturnalia seemed to be mostly celebrated the week before anyway.
Christmas.
All right, so y'all help me out. It's something I'm not understanding. because it was brought up again in this video about the calculation, the speculative day of somebody's birth based on their death. But the article said that a person died on the same day that they were conceived, right? So is that talking about born or conception? Maybe I'm getting it mixed up, because some people separate the two. Your conception and the time that you were born is two different things. What y'all think about that? Maybe I'm lost.
No matter what, it's just a bunch of malarkey, man. Plain and simple. You know, you can come up with that, but my question is, how many people do you know who died the day they was born?
Y'all, the coach say he lied his ass off.
And nobody knows the day they was conceived. So that's like tell a lie big enough for everybody to believe it.
Right. And even if you want to deal with that, the Bible talks about 10 months, right? Like Solomon said, he was 10 months in his mother's womb before he was born. So give or take a month, you know, how do you know Christ was born 9 months after his conception? What do we have just to say that?
Yeah, that would be my question. Where are you getting that from?
So it's all speculation.
Yeah.
You know, it's something about this day, December 25th, that people don't want to acknowledge now. Now all of a sudden, well, there are some practices, some pagan practices, but you know, the pagans converted to Christianity, according to what he was saying, this guy in this video. But we know that already. That's a big part of what the Romans did by bringing paganism into Christianity, into their version of Christianity.
Well, how can paganism be into Christianity when Christianity is paganism?
Indeed.
That was what I was going to say. It only proves when he said it shows that it predated Christianity, then that shows you that it came from somewhere other than Christianity. Christianity stole it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what he said. You know, a lot of customs was taken from pagans and, you know, adopted in, and that, I guess that was supposed to validate them.
Yeah, when if you're supposed to be doing the right way, and you find out that it came from that, then you should be ridding yourself of that custom.
Yep. Yep.
This is not a Christian holiday. It is a pagan holiday.
Hey, everybody, I don't think this is an accurate statement. Certainly things like gift giving and revelry were borrowed from the celebration of Saturnalia.
So gift giving, revelry was taken from Saturnalia. But is that, are these customs of Christmas today?
Yeah.
And not only that, it's who cares what you think?
What about the scripture that say a little leaven about the
Leaven
whole
is the
lump?
whole lump.
Yeah. What about that scripture?
Yeah. Yeah. So these are still customs today, revelry and gift giving, which was Saturnalia. During Saturnalia, I hear a lot of static, man.
That's fine. That was Josh.
That's Brother Josh.
Yeah.
My thing's on me. It started me.
Well, it was off mute. Now it's not. But if you look at Saturnalia, revelry, how can I say this? Orgiastic rites. All right, y'all figure that out, what that's all about. But those were the practices during Saturnalia. Basically getting drunk and
swinging.
Yeah, swinging. You know, with anybody who you came across, you know what I mean?
Swinging on the tree. with the gold, with the ornaments, swinging under the ornaments.
Yep. Swinging, all right. But then a lot of the children that was born from these rituals, these children was used to be sacrificed. When they talk,
And, you know, I said, now I know why they throw away the tree afterwards. 'Cause after all that swinging and stuff under the tree, you know, when it's over, she taking all the ornaments. You might as well just throw that tree away.
yeah, no telling what they did with that tree.
I'm telling you, she took all the gold and silver with her though.
Yeah,
Because
The tree, you can throw that away.
exactly. Because what you take the silver and the gold, you put that up, don't you?
yeah. So revelry, gift giving are customs of the Saturnalia that Christians do today when it comes to Christmas.
Yeah, and many times we have pagan communities converting to Christianity and continuing some of their traditions.
So even history records that as well. A lot of pagans converting to Christianity and continuing. Right. I think that's sort of an oxymoron. I guess it is in a way to say that pagans became Christians and continued their customs when we know Christianity is pagan.
This guy really think Christianity is the foundation of the Bible.
They all do.
Do you see how he doing that? Or came and took Christianity. Christianity itself is made up. It has nothing to do with the Bible.
They all do. And that's why it's good to hear them bring these things out, because it's like they basically killing their own position. If you know the history of this stuff anyway, they're killing their own position.
Yep.
So we have pagans bringing evergreen boughs into the home, decorating with them, and then Protestants innovate on that in the 16th century in Germany and decorate full trees and then bring them into the home for Christmas. So
and he's talking about Germany. That's when once you get up in the 15th, 16th century is when the custom of evergreen trees, decorating them, was engrafted into Christmas, right? Or let me word that differently. The Germans in the 15th, 16th century took the custom of decorating Christmas trees and incorporated into their Christmas celebration. So this was a custom that was already around long before that, a pagan custom. It had pagan origins prior to Christmas. And the Christmas celebration from the Europeans in the late 14th century moving forward with the Europeans, they added that custom to their Christmas celebration, a pagan custom, right? But a Christmas tree is not pagan. Christmas is not pagan. How do you justify that?
So what would be Christmas without the paganism? That would be my question.
What would be Christmas without the paganism? I guess Christ. I don't know. Shoot, I mean, this whole idea is pagan. You know, it's unholy. It was added. And anybody who deals with the history of this, you will see that they won't go anywhere prior to the 1st century. Because I always say once you get to 70 AD and beyond, everything sort of becomes null and void at that point, because Israel is scattered at that point. They are at that point, like the scriptures say, among the Gentiles. Yeah.
Time of the Gentiles. Yep.
So you start moving forward beyond that. You start seeing the Roman Empire gaining more traction.
You got the Renaissance.
Yep.
You got all that history up until now, where they used to what they call it, the secret council, to destroy us, to wrap the remembrance away from us. Yep.
Fair use.
There are relationships in some of the traditions, but those traditions differ wildly around the world. And already by 200 CE-ish, we have Christians identifying the 25th of December as Jesus' birthday based on ancient traditions about the date of someone's death relating to the date of their conception. 9 months later, we have their birth. And those calculations predate the arrival of Sol Invictus' celebration in Rome on the 25th. And Saturnalia seem to be mostly celebrated the week before anyway.
So notice he said around 200 CE, right? 200 CE, you're probably looking at 125, about 125 years or so of Jerusalem being destroyed. And 200 CE is when they came up with that set day of December 25th. And who came up with that? It wasn't our people, because once again, they can't go anywhere prior to first century moving back. First century meaning from year 1 to 100. We know about 70 AD. So 200 CE is about 125 years later, after the destruction of Jerusalem. And now all of a sudden, bam, Jesus was born on December 25th. What y'all think about that? 200 CE.
Man, you know what? I don't even know. It's just like all of it points down to like, okay, so at the end of the day, even you go even to the name Christ Mass. So what it shows that they, even though you call yourself even Protestant, all this is still it ties you back to your origins, your mother church. It ties you to the Catholic Church, and then it ties the Catholic Church, which is the representation of Christianity on the whole, as the pagan worship. So all you did was take a name, change it, or translate it, and apply that, or replaced our customs with that, and told us this is the way you got to believe now. You know, this is the way you got to believe now. Either go with the crowd or go into destruction, one or the other. That's all that was.
So basically, we're looking at a time prophetically. The Bible talks about our people being scattered among the Gentiles, and by default, that will mean we will be subject to them. We will be serving their gods, according to prophecy. All right, prophetically, Most High declared that would happen. So when you look at 70 AD, and I keep reiterating this, once you get beyond 70 AD, our history, our past, present, and future was already determined and solidified at that point. That's why the gospel had to go out. By the time you get to the end of the prophets, the whole story has been told about Israel becoming a nation, breaking the covenant with the Most High, being scattered among the nations, Mashiach coming to redeem his people through his blood, and then coming again to complete the work of bringing them back from the nations where he scattered them. By the time you get to the last prophet, all that's been told. When you read the New Testament, you're reading the testimony of the things that was spoken of and written of in the Old Testament. And I'm only saying that because that's how the Bible, our records have been divided, so that people could understand better.
Well, Even the Bible itself divides itself. It divides it from the law, the prophets, and the Psalms.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Most people still consider that the Old Testament, but you're right.
Yep.
The law, the Psalms, and the prophets. So when after Christ finished the mission of sacrificing his life for the sins of his people, and he was brought back, the Bible talks about how he showed the apostles the things in the scriptures, the law and the writings of Moses and the Psalms and the prophets concerning him. So everything was already transcribed and written from the beginning all the way to the end. Once you get through the law, the Psalms, and the prophets, it's all there. So when 70 AD comes, right, the prophets speak of that as well, about the destruction of Jerusalem that will come later. Ezekiel spoke about it, how the Most High would cut off 2/3 in the land and then scatter 1/3 and send a sword after them. That's the scattering, right? And that was, the Bible also talks about the daughter of Zion, right, which has meaning depending on the context. In some contexts, the daughter of Zion is talking about during 70 AD. And in some contexts, it's talking about the end times, the times that we're referring to today. It also mentions the daughter of Babylon, right? But then when you're talking about the daughter of Zion in prophecy, in a lot of places is speaking of 70 AD or the end, as it would put it, the end. So after 70 AD, right, what are we looking at in terms of records, scripture that would solidify Christmas being a day that we should keep? Or does that fall within the category of us worshiping and serving other gods? What y'all think?
Yeah, because actually, and that's why I put it in there. That shows that these was new gods. They gave us new gods, which newly sprung up, and not the old. But I guess when they take your identity, you don't know. You aim from your elbow. You know, I don't know.
You're right.
Hey, would you be able to pull up something for me?
Yeah, what you
got? Zechariah 2, 6 and 7. Just touching on when you was talking about that scattering.
Yeah. Hold up. Wrong button.
Babylon means confusion, right? Idols, it can, you know what I'm saying? It can mean idols, confusion.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says, ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, said Yahuwah. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, said Yahuwah. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babel.
Who is that?
That's talking about us.
Who is the daughter of Babel?
The daughter of Babylon is talking about the end.
Wouldn't that be Edom?
The last kingdom, the last, I guess how could I put it? The last of the kingdom of Babylon. Yep. Edom.
I'll simply put it America. Because we had a mother and that was England. But then you'd say Edom because Edom's mother is the church. Is the Catholic Church and the daughters is all is all the denominations that has been birthed out.
It says, deliver thyself, O daughter of Zion, O Zion, rather, that dwellest with the daughter of Babel.
But they scattered to the four winds, though.
Mm-hmm. And so that scattering, you know, when you look at 70 AD, that was the end of Israel as a nation. You know, that was the end because the temple was destroyed, the people were taken. Those who weren't killed, you know, they either fled, and if they didn't flee, they were taken. And he said he would send a sword after the 1/3. So that's why when you look at our people today and the nations we're in, he said you would have none assurance of our life. Right? You would have none assurance of our life. And some people might say, well, that kind of stuff is not unique to Black people. Well, that's true. The whole point is we were never supposed to have been going through any of that. You know, it's not about comparing suffering. It's about the even though if we compare suffering in the proper light, we would see that nobody suffered the way we did.
And not only that, it is unique in particular to our people.
Exactly.
Because, you know, other nations are in their own land. And when they're born, even if they may be born, even if they have no assurance with their life, they do have hope. We have no hope when we are born. We have no hope.
Like ain't no guarantees for us.
No guarantees, no hope. You know, they may be in a situation because their country is poor, and their country is most likely poor because of Babylon. But we have no hope because we surrounded by our enemies. At least they surrounded by their own.
Yep. It's the whole point. When you look at Israel, we're not even supposed to be, we're supposed to be a set apart nation. But the fact that we became subject to the nations means that not only do we go through what they go through, we suffer it at a worse magnitude than what they do. You see what I'm saying? Us serving their gods is a snare to us, but it's a benefit to them. It doesn't benefit us. Now here's another video where, you know, they pretty much doing the same thing with technicality and trying to justify it, trying to outsmart what the Bible is saying, you know, in Jeremiah 10. Fair use.
Arguing about it's Christmas a pagan holiday when we know you can't find Christmas nowhere in the Bible. Then people don't like to say Jeremiah 10 is talking about a Christmas tree. Well, you got to tell me what other tree you go take out the woods and deck with silver and gold.
I can tell you that it's
go ahead, let them talk. Okay, they're not gonna let you talk. Those are campers. Those are gang members.
It's cool.
Go ahead.
It's cool. It's called the Asherah pole.
They're gonna be quiet. When I say to be quiet, they're gonna be quiet over here.
Hey, who was that? Is that Berea?
Yeah, that sounds like Berea. Talking about the camps, this and that. It's the Asherah tree. Yo, who many people know what the Asherah tree is? Get out of here. They don't celebrate no Asherah pole around here. They celebrate Christmas.
Right. And and I don't know, I guess it's good to come across stuff like this because once again, this is dealing with angles that people use, right? An Asherah pole is what he mentioned. He's saying that that's the tree that is describing in Jeremiah 10. Let's let him finish. Fair use.
A pole. So if you want to look, anybody can go Google it right now with the internet in your fingertips. It's called an Asherah pole. So when you go look up an Asherah pole, they cut in Jeremiah 10. I know everybody loves to focus on verses 1 through 4. But if you look at verse 5, it says something about them not being able to speak. We have to ask ourselves an intelligent question. Why would anybody be expecting a tree to speak? Why would anybody be expecting a tree to move? If we're operating in intellectual honesty, that doesn't fit the context if Jeremiah 10 is talking about a tree.
Now he said, why would anybody expect a tree to speak? Why would anybody expect a tree to move, right?
The same reason why some people will expect a tree to bear gifts.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Why would anybody expect a tree to bear gifts? Why would anybody expect a fat man to come down the chimney when they live in Florida? Come on, that's intellectual. Let's be intellectually honest. Because at the end of the day, you talking about deception.
What about
Let's
bacon?
go back. You talking about an Asherah pole. Hold on. You talking about an Asherah pole. We talking about dating times and be intellectually honest. If you want to know, be intellectually honest, because in that time, when these people did these things, they got results. That's how you could change the name for Baal to the name of the. That's how you mistake the name for Baal for the name of the Most High. Why? Because you got results. You get the results that you were looking for from doing the activity that you set out to do.
Go ahead, Josiah.
No, I was just gonna say, they bake cakes to Queen of Heaven too.
Yep. Then think about this: if we being intellectually honest, right? It's talking about, and let me go back to it. I'm just gonna read it from here. It says, "They are upright as a palm tree, but speak not." Right? They must needs be born because they cannot go. Right? In other words, they can't move, they can't speak. So if we being intellectually honest, why would anybody expect any idol or anything that they will worship as a god to do any of these things, to speak or to move? That's what the Most High is talking about when he's talking about idols, any idol.
And not only that, what he's basically saying, if you want to be intellectually honest now, all the Most High would say is, you know that these trees can't speak. You know that you can't talk to that tree. When you're cutting it down, if you ask that tree, do you feel this? Is the tree going to tell you, ouch? That's all he's saying. He's saying this, you know good and darn well this thing can't do nothing for you, yet you are going about worshiping this thing.
Well,
but Yash,
yeah,
they forgetting the context. It starts off saying the custom of the people are vain.
Exactly, the customs of the heathen. So you saying, in effect, by default, I am a heathen. These are my customs, and I'm going to keep. He's saying heathens have rights too.
He say the Asherah pole is a totem pole. Let's look at that real quick, because because this the thing. The question he's asking, right? If you look at trees, there are certain types of trees that certain cultures worship, right? You have people who saying they talk to trees and trees can communicate and all this kind of stuff. People who are into nature, I forget what you call them, but they look at all of nature as life, and they go out and they talk to the grass, and people tell you if you talk to your plants, that'll make them grow a certain type of way. Where do you think all that is coming from? These are all customs and practices of people who worship these types of gods. So if you were to take any idol, be it gold or silver, right, and people bow down before these things and worship them, and the Most High is just simply letting you know that these things have no life in them. It can't talk, it can't do good or evil, right? If somebody break in and try to steal the idol because it's made of gold or silver, the idol can't even protect itself, But that's once again another question just to try to outsmart what the Bible is saying. You know, we're gonna look at an Asherah pole in a second. Fair use.
Nobody would be saying, hey, you know, the trees cannot move or the trees cannot speak. Don't be afraid of them. Who's going to be afraid of a tree?
All right. So now I'm gonna tell you something about trees. I'm gonna mute you out, y'all. You got a lot of static. I'm gonna tell y'all something about trees. And I can understand just by the nature of certain trees, you know, how people may view them. You know what I mean? I remember I went to Atlanta one year, and what part of Atlanta was that in? I think it was like not Atlanta, but in Duluth, Georgia, somewhere up in there. I was there one summer, and you know, I'm from Texas. Where we from, we see a lot of trees and land and stuff like that. But when I saw these trees were like very huge. They was tall. I ain't never seen no trees this tall up close in person. And so we were walking through this trail, and I'm just looking at these trees. I was just, you know, that was the only thing I could focus on, because like, damn, these trees are like tall, man. I couldn't even describe it. These trees are so tall, you know. But I went down one night, I went down there at night, and I'm looking up, and it just, you know, it was a weird place. You know what I mean? It gave me a weird feeling and all that kind of stuff. But in any case, when you look at certain types of trees, you know, it's like nature. You get certain benefits, health benefits, you get medicine, you get you know, all types of things from trees. And so a lot of these trees were looked at as gods to certain people. And the Most High is saying, you know, these are customs of the heathens, and this is what they're doing. So now let's look at an Asherah pole. Let me type this in. Check this out. This is what we come up with. I'm just simple search. All right, it says an Asherah pole is a sacred tree or pole that stood near Canaanite religious locations to honor the goddess Asherah. Right, in relation of the literary references to an Asherah and archaeological finds of Judean pillar figurines has engendered a literature of debate. The Asherim were also cult objects related to the worship of Asherah, the consort of either Baal, or as inscriptions from Kuntulet, Arud, and Karbet el Quam attest Yahweh, and thus objects of contention among the compelling cults. Most English translations of the Hebrew Bible translate the Hebrew words Asherim or Asheroth to Asherah poles, Asherah poles. Does the they saying this is an interpretation. It goes on to say that they're mentioned in the Hebrew Bible in the books of Exodus, Deuteronomy, Judges, the books of Kings, the second book of Chronicles, and the books of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Micah. All right, so it mentions Jeremiah. It says the term often appears as merely referred to as groves in the King James Version, which follows the Septuagint rendering, and the Vulgate, Lucas, and poles in the New Revised Standard Version. No word that may be translated as poles appears in the text. Excuse me. So did y'all get that part? It says said the term often appears as merely Asherah or referred to as groves in the King James Version, which follows the Septuagint rendering as alsos, and the Vulgate leukos and pos in the New Revised Standard Version. No word that may be translated as pos appears in the text. Scholars have indicated, however, that the plural use of the term Asherahs, translating Hebrew Asherim, provides ample evidence that reference is being made to objects of worship rather than a transcendent figure. So they don't know, basically.
Exactly. They took all that fancy writing and say, your guess is as good as mine.
They don't know.
Mm-mm.
So when you read Jeremiah 10 again, right? And I think it's just me. I think is clear where it says the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, right? A forest. It says the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. So we see that this is describing somebody going to the forest with an axe and just simply chopping down a tree. Once he chopped down this tree, what does he do? They deck it with silver and with gold, right? They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not, right? They are upright, so they stand it up, right? I don't know. I noticed this semicolon here. So this that follows the semicolon is pretty much describing, all this is one thing. After they decorate it, they fasten it, right? Well, they fasten it first because you got to stand it up to decorate it. Said they are upright as a palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. All right, so don't fear them, don't reverence them, don't worship them, because they cannot do evil nor good. They can't save you, they can't speak. Right, and this is just simply speaking of this particular custom, but the Most High says this all the time about idols. All right, now let's look at this this evergreen tree. Y'all got something to add on? Nothing. Let's see, what's this here? This is from a website, eternalgod.org. It says the use of an evergreen tree for religious observance. Now watch this, because we know that that's okay. Let's do it like this. What is the Christmas tree? What type of tree is a Christmas tree?
Evergreen.
It's the tree that don't die, don't it?
Right.
The evergreen tree.
Evergreen, yeah.
Evergreen.
Right. Just in case somebody want to be technical. There's no tree in nature called a Christmas tree. You know how people are. Well, the evergreen tree is what's used for the celebration of Christmas. When people want to put up a tree for Christmas, this is the type of tree they use. All right, so the evergreen tree, or the use of an evergreen tree for religious observance, was founded in pagan worship practices. Y'all see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, would y'all say that Jeremiah 10 is describing the evergreen tree? Because it doesn't say what type of tree.
I say it don't matter.
Well, just for the Let me check. Let me double check.
It's a palm tree.
It said it stands upright as the palm tree.
Uh-huh.
So let me see. I said let me tree.
Ain't nobody going and getting no real tree and putting it in their house. How would you even do that?
Okay. For the word tree, it has wood, gallows, pine, plank, staff, stalk, stick, stock, timber, tree, and wood. Tree, wood, timber, stock, plank, stalk, stick, gallows, tree, trees, wood, pieces of wood, gallows, firewood, cedar wood, woody flax. So this is not giving a contextual meaning. This is just giving an overall meaning of tree, right? In the Hebrew word is atis. I believe that's how it is, ATES. But according to this, we see that the use of an evergreen tree for religious observance was found in pagan worship practices. Its origin far predates Christianity, right? So the custom of using evergreen trees and for religious observance, right? What would Christmas be considered?
Celebrating
religious.
And the religious observance. And not only that, it's the only tree that's suitable for it. You ain't gonna take an oak tree and do that in your house. You know what I mean? This is a tree that's got branches literally from top to bottom. And it's shaped in just the right way to hold these type of ornaments. And it also has its own fragrance. You understand?
Yeah.
So and it's known, you know, that its leaves don't, it's the tree, you cut it, its leaves won't soon wither.
Yep. And a lot of cultures knew that about the evergreen tree year round. It was a year round tree.
Well, according to paganism, the definition, they worship nature. Anything that's, you know, it's just life. It's the study like theology, the study of life. That's what they do.
Worship the universe and the stars and
they worship the creation.
Yeah, rather than the creator. That's good. I like that. I like that. It says that the origin of worshiping or using evergreen tree for religious observance, it predates Christianity, right? Just like in our respect, when we read Jeremiah 10, when Jeremiah quoted that time period predated Christianity. In our respect, we would have to admit that. And we see that custom was going on back during that time. Right. And it doesn't say evergreen tree. All right. So nobody won't think that I'm saying that Jeremiah 10 does not specify the type of tree. Right. It just talks about going in the forest and cutting out a tree. Now, you can go back and investigate the time frame that was in, where Israel was during that time, the nations, right? Because it talk about the heathen. So that could be any nation outside of Israel, and this is their custom, right? So many other cultures worship different types of trees, but whatever type of tree it was, it doesn't matter because this is the custom. Christmas today uses the evergreen tree. It says long before the advent of Christianity, plants and trees that remained green all year had a special meaning for people in the winter, just as people today decorate their homes during the festive season with pine, spruce, and fir trees, right? That was I think this is another name for it too, right? Ain't this a type of an evergreen tree, the fir tree? I don't know my trees like that, but
No. You know what? Yeah, yes and no, because the fir tree is a type of tree like that,
okay.
I believe. I kind of forget, I'm not an arborist.
I'm only familiar with one tree.
Yeah.
And my thing is, at the end of the day, like Josiah said, being familiar with one tree, which goes back to say, and they were only familiar with one tree. It would go to stand using intellectual whatever the heck he called it, honesty or whatever the heck he tried to call it. Uh, wouldn't it go to say that they brung up this same old custom, used the exact same tree that they used hundreds of years before Christianity, which how can it predate Christianity if it came to in the year 200 when Christianity came? You know what I mean? Even before that, or they started time over at the beginning of Christianity. That's what they used to call AD or Anno Domini, and they used to. I mean,
Think to change
yeah,
time
Anno
and stuff like
Domini,
that.
and they changed it to BC and AC. It was before Christ and after Christ. Now they say before BCE, before the Common Era, and after the Common Era. But at the end of the day, how can you say it was dated before, but you only go 200 years before? You afraid to go ahead and touch up because your other reference is Jeremiah, and then you go back to some old. And that's why I don't like dealing with these people, some old Asherah pole, because they be talking about intellectual honesty and being dishonest while they're claiming honesty.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just like this guy here, right?
Just like him.
Now we're gonna look at Jeremiah 10 all the way through, because this is what people do. Yep. They say you got to read the whole chapter, and we are. And we're gonna show you how the first portion of that chapter is describing one thing, but when it talks about them carving idols, is specific with that. And we're going to show you how newer versions of the scripture twisted up the first portion of Jeremiah to make it fit that narrative. And this is why people are saying what they're saying. But we're looking at the actual history of how cultures prior to European Christianity used trees and evergreen trees. And then it says, watch this. It says, many ancient people hung evergreen boughs over their doors and windows. In many countries, it was believed that evergreens would keep away witches, ghosts, evil spirits, and illness. Right? So that would be a form of worship. Right? That's a form of worship when you use these types of things to, ward off evil spirits. How they say burning sage and stuff like that. That's a form of worship, right? You burning incense to another deity, or you looking to some other deity for your protection, for your prosperity, for your healing. All this is a part of worship, and this is what was going on with the trees, the evergreen trees, the fir trees, and everything prior to Christianity. Right, now watch this. It says Germany is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition as we know it by the 16th century, when sources record devout Christians bringing decorated trees into their homes. All right, some built Christmas pyramids of wood and decorated them with evergreen trees and candles if wood was scarce. By the most 19th century Americans found Christmas trees an oddity. So this is moving forward. The first records of Christmas trees being cut for display comes from the 1820s in Pennsylvania's German community, because that's where it started. By then you had the Germans, the Irish, and all them over in America, because they were being transported to the U.S. during these time periods. And this was during the same time of the slave trade and everything. You know, it's when they was giving all these white people free land and everything. It says the first records of Christmas trees being cut for display comes from the 1820s in Pennsylvania's German community, although trees may have been a tradition there even earlier. As early as 1747, Moravian Germans in Pennsylvania had a community tree in the form of a wooden pyramid decorated with candles. But as late as the 1840s, Christmas trees were seen as pagan symbols and not accepted by most Americans. So they had a revolt against this thing. You know, we know that later on it was accepted here in America, but the Germans started it, the Christmas tree under the it says German is credited with starting the Christmas tree tradition. So they were the first to start the tradition of taking this custom that was already around prior to it and assimilating it with Christianity or with Christmas. This was their or in other words, this was a pagan tradition that was already around, that was adopted and infused with what we know as Christmas today. All right. I think I got one more. Hold on. Hold up. Okay. I do have one more. Watch this. Because some people say it's not pagan. It's not pagan. Well, what are we reading? You know, it's not pagan, but it's not biblical either. So which one it can't, you know, it's not a neutral thing. It has an origin. We know that biblically the heathens were the ones doing this. They were the ones cutting trees out the forest and decorating them. All right, now watch this. It says this is from let me go up. This is from Michigan State University, an article, How Did Evergreen Trees Become a Symbol for Christmas? All right. Everybody see that tree? How did evergreen trees, it says, here are a few facts on Christmas trees. Humble beginnings. The evergreen, yeah, see, I told you, bro. Evergreen is a type of fir tree. It says the evergreen fir tree has traditionally been used to celebrate winter festivals and pagan winter festivals, pagan and Christian, for thousands of years. Pagans use branches to decorate their homes. Now it says pagan and Christian. All right, but Christianity, as we know it today, didn't start until the 2nd century, moving forward into the 3rd century, 4th century, and everything. Prior to that, the disciples, Christ, the apostles, they didn't practice Christianity as we know it today. That came later. That's, matter of fact, Christianity that we know of today is what Paul was warning us against. And I think it's 1 Corinthians 11 or 2 Corinthians 11. But the evergreen fir tree has traditionally been used to celebrate winter festivals, pagan and Christian, for thousands of years. So it's a heathen custom. Using the evergreen tree to celebrate festivals or to commemorate religious ceremonies is a pagan custom. It says pagan used branches to decorate their homes during winter solstice, as it made them think of the spring to come. Romans used fir trees to decorate their homes for the new year, right? So don't let nobody tell you the Bible don't mention evergreen trees, right? Christians use evergreen trees as a sign of everlasting life with God. This is where they try to clean it up, y'all. Y'all see that?
Yeah, that make me laugh. Yup.
It's where they're trying to clean it up.
Switched it up real quick.
I'm surprised they ain't throw the tree of life in there.
Yeah, right.
Well, don't be surprised. You might hear it come up sometime. It say fair trees were first used as Christmas trees. Right? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
It probably began
Fir tree was used as Christmas tree. Yeah, I see that.
Were first used.
Were first used, yeah. Okay.
It said it probably began about 1,000 years ago in Northern Europe. People in
What was
Northern.
used second?
You say what was used second?
What was used second? They tell them to get it right.
Say what was used second? I guess the same thing that was used first. It says people in Northern Europe also planted evergreens.
Took away the first to establish. Took away the second to establish the first.
Huh. Could be.
Right.
But they still using them.
Yeah.
It say people in Northern Europe also planted evergreens in boxes inside their houses in wintertime. Many early Christmas trees seem to have been hung upside down from the ceiling using chains that were hung from chandeliers lighting hooks. Other early Christmas trees in many parts of Northern Europe were cherry or hawthorn plants. So I guess this is where the second part come in. What was used second? Or a branch of the plant that were put into pots and bowls inside so they would flower at Christmas time. Some people made pyramids of wood and decorated them to look like a tree with paper, apples, and candles.
Wait. Back up. So you telling me that if you was poor, let's get it right. You get you a cherry tree or some other kind of tree and put it in some water. You know, you get around Thanksgiving sometime, put that in some water and for it to blossom. So you,
yeah, it'll flower.
That's just the poor man's Christmas tree. Now you got decorations. You ain't got no silver and gold, but you got some blossoms going up in the middle of the winter. That's all that is.
Christmas in the summertime.
Yeah, that's all that is.
Spring.
Blossom in their trees, man. That's funny as heck. You gotta read between the lines, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they got that little $5.99 tree you can put on the little table if you can't get a big tree.
Yeah.
Little mini one.
Charlie Brown tree.
Little mini tree.
Look. I can't
take 5 seconds to decorate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna snap this branch off and stick it in some water, put a little sugar or some salt in that junk and hope for the best. You know,
grow you another tree.
Yeah.
Put a damn air rain for the stalks.
Yeah. Yo, that's all you do is getting it blossomed. When you keep them blossoms going to the spring where you can put it in your yard. A couple years after that, you have some daggone cherries and some cherry pie to go with your real tree now.
Put you some toilet paper around it. Might as well. It says, it's possible the wooden pyramid trees were meant to be like paradise trees. All right, so now as you read further, it just sort of describes more of some of the customs. It says, the first person to bring a Christmas tree into a house may have been the 16th century German preacher Martin Luther. May have been. But we know, in any case, this is where the custom of using the evergreen tree for Christmas came from Germany, according to sources. All right. So that's an article from Michigan State University. Got another one. Fair use. This is from antiquitynow.org. It says ancient Celtic Druids believed the evergreen tree was sacred. Right? Who were the ancient Celtic Druids?
Sound like Edom to me. Sound like Edom to me.
Yeah, they was some pagans, right? You hear about and really the way you pronounce
that's Celtics.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Okay.
That's really how you pronounce that word. When you hear about the ancient Celtics, you hear about a lot of different witchcraft rituals and stuff like that. But it says they believe the evergreen tree was sacred and represented everlasting life. Now, wait a minute. Didn't we just read where the Christians saw the evergreen tree to be a symbol of life everlasting with God? Didn't it say that?
Yeah.
It said they looked at the Christians looked at the evergreen tree as a symbol of everlasting life with God. But we see these ancient druids pretty much believe the same thing. So a lot of Christians will make you believe that they were original with their intentions with these customs when all they did was take these customs and add it to their Christian worship. Because this was a belief that the pagans had about the evergreen tree. Fast forward later, now the Christians believe the same thing about the evergreen tree. That it represented everlasting life with God. The ancient Druids believed the evergreen tree was sacred and represented everlasting life because it did not shed its leaves as the deciduous trees did. They used the evergreen, holly, and mistletoe to decorate their temples and perform rituals during winter solstice. So this is what they use the evergreen tree for. It says today's Druids continue to recognize the winter solstice. In fact, just in time, this is an old article for the 2013 winter solstice. Hinge is reopening after a multi-million-dollar makeover. So that's talking about something else. But it's just describing how the ancient Druids looked at the evergreen tree. The same way that those Christians looked at the evergreen tree. See, they just took it and added God on it. Brother Yash, remember that video you showed me? Or that white lady who took that song? And what was the name of that song?
I can't remember right now.
Man, I looked at that a few times. I say, man, this is funny. How this lady, she just took this song. Come to find out, the song is centered around, self-worship and stuff like that. You know how these artists are, how they make these songs and stuff, self-worship. But she took the song and added Jesus' name in it. I wish you had that, man.
Yeah, right.
But it's just the whole idea of taking something like they always do and adding their own spin onto it. We're gonna take that, put Jesus on it. Now it's gonna be all good. It's the same thing they did with the evergreen tree. And that's why people have Christmas trees in their homes today. Because this is an old, ancient, pagan custom that Christians, after the time of Christ and the apostles, basically the pagan Christians, they took other pagan customs and applied them to Christianity and Christian worship. And that's what we see today.
What date is these Drukes?
The Druids.
Yeah, Druids.
The Druids go back to the BC era.
Jeremiah. Yeah, they ancient.
Jeremiah around Jeremiah time.
Yeah, they was around then.
They ancient. But you got to understand, man. Like I say, see, a lot of people don't ascribe to Acts 29, but they had Jews that was Israelites, and then they had, and I believe, then you had the replacements.
Yeah.
Everybody today ain't who they were in the past. The only ones who know who they are is us. And we need to realize that, recognize that. That's why they don't want us to know who we are, because they don't know who they are, but they do know they devils.
So this is what you're dealing with. All right. Once again, when you look at Jeremiah 10, all right, hear ye the word of Yah, hear ye the word which Yah will speak it unto you, O house of Israel. All right, so this is not even about modern Christians. All right, so if you're a Christian, of course, this is not going to resonate with you, because this is not to the Christians. This is only to our people who have been misled by Christianity, because it's written to the house of Israel. And he's telling them not to learn the ways of the heathen. What's one of the ways of the heathen? To take a tree, cut it out of a forest. Today, you don't have to go cut you a tree out of a forest. You can just go to Walmart or Target or online or whatever and order you a tree. It'll be already cut for you. You got your decorations and your ornaments and everything. Once you get that tree, you prop it up, you fasten it up, make it stand up, and then what you do after that, you start decorating it. Well, that's a heathen, pagan custom, right?
You got to be a fool not to see that this is talking about the same custom that we're doing today. You want to celebrate Christmas. This is clearly talking about what you're doing today.
Well, I'm going to show you what they're doing with this passage, though. I'm going to show you what they're doing with it. All right. But we see that this is clearly describing simply somebody going in the forest, cutting down a tree, and decorating that tree with silver and with gold, right? Fastening it so that it don't move, making it stand up and everything. And then it's letting you know that these trees cannot go on their own. They can't see, they can't speak, they can't do any of that, right? From verses 1-5. Now, as you continue to read, this is what people like to do. They like to skip down to verse 14, right? Where it starts to talk about the actual, well, let's just read it. It says, every man is brutish in his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, right? If we would have read down into that, we would see what it's talking about, because it actually gets into that. When you get to verse 8, it says, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, right? Silver spread into plates, and gold of Uphaz, the work of the workman, and the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all work of cunning men. So this is talking about the actual crafting of an idol with these materials. But up here in verse 5, we see that the silver and gold is used to decorate the tree that's cut out of the forest. So this is talking about one custom of the heathen. Then once you read down further into the chapter, it's talking about another custom of how these heathen take raw materials, gold, silver, and they craft it into idols, and they put garments on it. Should we read that letter to Jeremiah that goes deep into this?
Yeah, Jeremiah. Jeremiah get funny too. It talks about how he
Go ahead,
it talks about how he fixed food for the idol and left, and somebody came and ate it or something like that. Is that in that?
No, that's in
you know what I'm talking about?
Abraham, yeah.
Okay.
Apocalypse of Abraham.
But my point, one point that they totally avoid is the fact. See, you can say you don't worship this tree at all. But how do it look when you got to get down on your hands and knees in front of this tree and then reach out under it and pull out a gift? So when you come in standing and then you bow down, it's like you're worshiping it. And then you reach out and pull out a gift. And when you're standing up, you have a gift in your hand as if it came from this thing because you did obedience to it.
I mean,
and not
just
even looking at it. Think about it.
Yeah, that's true. But then just the simple fact of you having it up in your house and then justifying it when somebody show you in the Bible that we shouldn't be doing that.
Back up. He said, man, just the fact that you got it in your house. it shouldn't even have to get to that point where you bowing down. Just the fact that you got it in your house.
Right.
That's true.
And then when we go and show you the same custom in scripture as the heathen custom, you justify it. You know,
well, we celebrated for his birthday.
That's worship. You can't say you're not worshiping it.
Right. So what do that got to do with the silver and the gold being decked up?
This is how his name gets out more everywhere. Get out of here.
It's vain.
It's vain. Because you may have got his name out, but at the end of the day, all they thinking about is what gifts they gave or what gifts they give. And right now, after it's all said and done, I can go up to any bar anywhere around, and I bet it's packed tonight.
Yeah.
Spending the rest on that. Now they're starting their revelry to take them all the way up into New Year's.
Yeah.
The Saturnalia was celebrated on or began on December 1st. But I believe, I could be wrong, but they carried it on until like around January the 5th. It was a continuation holiday. That's why they do that song, The 12 Days of Christmas. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah, I don't think so. I just threw that 12 Days of Christmas in, but as far as the Saturnalia and stuff, but I studied this stuff. You know, I forgot a lot of stuff. You know, I forgot more stuff than a lot of people know. So I could have forgot that. I ain't forget it. I know what it is. And I've been studying it for a long time.
Look at it like this. A lot of customs are modified for the day and time too, like gift giving and revelry. Like what is revelry? Basically, is when you get together with people and y'all drink, y'all eat and drink.
We're a Christian nation now, so we can't swing out in the open like we used to.
Right.
But we can drink though.
You know, and we can exchange gifts. So that custom has been modified for what was really going on back in the day. You see what I'm saying? But look at this here. It says, this is Jeremiah, right? We in Jeremiah 10. It says, but they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. That's what Christmas is, right? Jesus born on December 25th. It's all vanity. How? Because if you can utter in one voice that he was born on December 25th, how can you with that same voice say that we don't know an exact day of when he was born? So why December 25th? Why that specific day?
Do you know that it's a whole bunch of other gods born on December 25th?
I know it, maybe they don't. But now it says silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Uphaz, the work of the workmen, and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing, They are all the work of cunning men. Let's look at the letter of Jeremiah. This is excuse me, the epistle of Jeremiah when the captives was going into Babylon. Look at what he told them. This is what Jeremiah told our people going into Babylon, as they were going into Babylon. He says, so when ye become unto Babel, ye shall remain there many years and for a long season, namely 7 generations. And after that, I will bring you away peaceably from thence. And now shall ye see in Babel gods, or Elohim, of silver and of gold and of wood, borne upon shoulders, which cause the nations to fear. So in other words, when y'all go into Babylon, you're going to see all types of gods. You're going to see gods made of gold. You're going to see gods made of silver. You're going to see gods of wood. And people are going to be carrying them on their shoulders, right? That's the same thing they said about this tree, right? It says that they are upright as a palm tree, but they cannot speak. They must needs be born because they cannot go. In other words, you have to carry this thing wherever you want it to be. You have to carry it. It says, beware therefore that ye in no wise be like unto strangers, neither be ye of them, which when ye see the multitudes before them and behind them, worshiping them. So when you see these idols, don't be like the multitudes of people, the strangers that you see worshiping them. This is where we are right now as a people, understanding what Christmas and what all these pagan holidays are about. And we see the strangers, going crazy and decorating their houses and everything like that. He said, you say in your heart, O Adonai, we must worship thee. For mine angel is with you, and I myself caring for your soul. So the Most High said that he would be a sanctuary, for a small sanctuary for his people, where in the lands where he scattered them. Now, watch this. Watch this. It says, I'm going to keep reading. It says, as for their tongue, talking about the idols, it is polished by the workmen, and they themselves are gilded and laid over with silver. Yet are they but false and cannot speak. Same thing Jeremiah 10 is saying, right? And taking gold, as it were, for a virgin that loveth to go gay, they make crowns for the heads of their gods. Sometimes also the priests convey from their gods gold and silver and bestow it upon themselves. So in other words, the priests of the temple, when people bring all this gold and stuff to worship their idols, the priests will take the gold and the silver and put it on themselves. Same thing Christian pastors do today. They take the money that's given by the people and they line their own pockets with it. They buy their houses, their cars, they send their kids to college and everything. It says, yea, they will give thereof to the common harlots. Right? Ain't this what a lot of preachers doing? Getting caught up with these scandals and everything in the church with these women. Who money you think they doing that with? It says they deck them as men with garments, being Elohim of silver and Elohim of gold and wood. Yet cannot these Elohim save themselves from rust and moth, though they be covered with purple raiment. All right, let's go back to Jeremiah 10. Right here. It says, silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Euphaz, the work of the workmen and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. Same thing he's describing. how they take these idols, this gold and this silver and this wood, and they make idols with it. And they deck these idols with clothing, purple and blue, right? These idols of gold. It says they wipe their faces because of the dust of the temple when there is much upon them. So they sit in the temple collecting dust. And he that cannot put to death one that offended him holdeth a scepter as though he were a judge of a country. He has also in his right hand a dagger and an axe, but cannot deliver himself from war and thieves. So they make these gods, they put scepters of rulership in their hand, crowns on their head, axes and daggers in their hand, and they can't even defend themselves from somebody coming to take them away. Right? It's like being dead with a gun in your hand. That's what these idols are. That's what Jeremiah 10 is describing within this section. But in the first part, he's describing how they cut a tree from the forest and decorate the tree with silver and with gold, how they make it stand upright. Right. And we've seen how this custom is an ancient custom, an ancient pagan custom. Y'all got anything to add? Anything? Hold up. It was one more. Okay, yeah. Now let's show you how a lot of these Christians are manipulating the scripture to justify celebrating Christmas. All right, let's put this under fair use. This guy right here is a guy by the name of Wes Huff. Hold up, brother Yash. What you got in this? You said that was gonna be your close. What was you talking about? And that Jeremiah.
The letter of Jeremiah. The letter of Jeremiah.
Oh, I thought you was gonna read that Cobra.
Nah, I got something though. I got something. Well, I'm gonna have something.
Okay, my bad. Let me see. There was a section in this video where he talked about. Hold on real quick. Am I sharing that? Yeah, I am. All right, it was a section in here where he talked about during the 16th century how basically the way they decorated their Christmas trees was that I forgot who he said it was that went outside at nighttime, and he looked at all the stars. He was in the forest with all the trees, and he looked up in the sky. He saw how the stars was in the sky and how the background of the stars was behind the trees. And that's how they got the idea to decorate the trees with lights and everything like that.
Yeah, didn't Abraham do that? He was trying to find out. He was searching out the essence of who the Most High was. And these were things that he had considered. But then I read about another person in the Kogan who did the exact same thing. I think I'm far away. But yeah, I think that was might have been Abraham in the book of Jubilees. He considered the star, the sun, the moon, the stars, the plants. And after he went through all of those, he considered, how could he worship these things when they were all created?
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let me see something right quick.
There is also a famous story linked to the Protestant reformer Martin Luther, in which he is said during a winter evening stroll to have overcome been.
What kind of trees are those?
Those is spruce firs. Evergreen. At the end of the day, they evergreen trees.
Right. They're in the wintertime. Now listen to what he's saying. And remember what Jeremiah 10 said about being dismayed at the signs of the heavens and everything, because the heathen are dismayed at them. Keep that in mind, then listen to this.
Also a famous story linked to the Protestant reformer Martin Luther, in which he is said during a winter evening stroll to have been overcome with the brilliance of the stars in the night sky, painting the background over the evergreen forests.
So he was dismayed at the signs of heaven.
Yep.
Ain't that what it sound like?
Yep.
He was out in the forest at night, and he saw the trees and the stars in the background, and he was dismayed at the signs of heaven. And let's listen to what he did after that.
In order to capture this moment, it is recorded that Luther cut down and erected a tree in the main hall of their house, covering its branches with lighted candles.
So he was dismayed at the signs of heaven. And what did he do after that?
Started
cut down the tree. He cut down the tree and decorated it with lights to simulate what he saw in the heavens. Don't that sound like Jeremiah 10?
Too much like it.
But it's not pagan, right? He literally just described an event that Jeremiah 10 describes word for word with Martin Luther. Martin Luther did exactly what Jeremiah 10 said not to do.
And
but yeah, it's not pagan.
And this dude saying Christmas isn't pagan?
Fair use.
Although the tradition was well known from that point on in Germany and dispersed parts of Europe, it was not practiced in Britain until the 19th century. When Queen Victoria married her German cousin Prince Albert, the custom was brought into the household of the British royal family. From then on, it was associated with royalty, and wealthier middle-class families soon followed suit with the tradition during the holiday season. Over here in Canada, where I live, it had been adopted as a tradition just prior to the 1700s, where we have records of Brunswick soldiers stationed in Quebec who are said to have decorated large fir trees with candles and fruit during the holiday season. Now it's...
Hey,
so,
bro.
Yeah.
Have y'all noticed that none of this stuff that they talk about, it can be anything, none of it's come from our people.
None of it's in the Bible.
And none of it come from us.
None of it. And not only that, I don't know if y'all can't tell, but all of it is a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, he says they cut down these spruce trees in Canada and decorated it with some fruit in the middle of the winter. Come on. In the most fruitless time of the year? Come on. In Canada? Cold Canada? Come on. And what he said about Martin Luther, he took the thing and he cut it down and burned it in his house. Something wild. But even then, I don't want you to play it again, but I detected the lie in that. I was like, yeah, they can't even get their lies straight. And they got our people. But the thing is, what Josiah said, that's the most important part. Was any of this started by our people? None of our people did this. And they got our people defend. And I was thinking earlier, they got our people defending this stuff.
But see, Brother Yash, this is what they mean about how, you know, they brought the gospel of Jesus Christ to the nations and all this kind of stuff. This is what they talking about. This kind of stuff. This is the gospel that they brought to the nations. Evergreen trees and customs of the heathen, pagan customs in the name of Christ of the Bible. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna fast forward. This is a pretty good video. It brings out a lot, you know. But now let's finally get into how they twist that first portion of Jeremiah, the 10th chapter.
Silly to me. Now, some will grant that and simply say, well, they might not be pagan, but scripture clearly condemns such practices. I mean, look at Jeremiah 10, verses 2-4. This is what the Lord says: do not learn the ways of the nations, or be terrified by signs in the heavens, though the nations are terrified by them. For the practices of the people are worthless. They cut a tree out of a forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with a hammer and nails, so it will not totter.
Now, do y'all see that? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Read one of y'all read Jeremiah 10, verse 2-4 out loud real quick.
You go ahead, Josiah.
This will be the last thing we get into, but this is how I'm about to show you now how they justify it biblically.
You said 2-4?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. It says, thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain. For one cut a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of a workman with the axe.
All right, stop right there. Stop right there. It says the work of the hands of the workman with the axe, right?
Yeah.
Simply cutting a tree out the forest. But look at what this says. It says they cut a tree out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So
add it.
In this version, they twisted up what Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2-4 is saying in the KJV. And you can go and look. He's probably reading out of the NIV. So in the NIV, it changes this to a craftsman shaping it with the chisel, whereas the KJV simply says the workman of the axe, the hands of the workman with the axe, meaning he cutting the tree down out the forest. But right here, he's saying it's shaping, the craftsman shapes it with the chisel. So they're coming here and using this version to say that this isn't talking about a Christmas tree, because this is talking about cutting a tree and shaping it into an idol. Right? So this is where they come to try to say that Jeremiah 10 is not talking about a Christmas tree. And they read the NIV and other versions where it pretty much switches the terminology around. So Jeremiah 10 verse 2-4 is not talking about them cutting a tree from the forest and decorating it. It's talking about a craftsman shaping the tree into an idol. Whereas when you read the KJV, it's not talking about that. So they use this to justify, to say that Jeremiah 10 is not talking about a Christmas tree. Then it says they adorn it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with the hammer and nails so that it will not totter. Right? Now, let's let him break it down some more.
The argument then is that this is God forbidding decorating a Christmas tree. So doing so is a sin which Scripture and God condemns. The problem is that this verse, when placed in the context of what Jeremiah is actually talking about, completely debunks it. What Jeremiah is talking about is a craftsman who is cutting down a tree and carving a graven idol out of the wood. The very next verse mockingly compares what is being done by these pagans with a scarecrow. In other words, just as a scarecrow is a mock representation of a person to scare away birds in a field, but cannot move, talk, or has no life in and of itself, neither does the wooden idol being made by the craftsman.
Therapy.
So y'all see that?
Yeah, he twisted it.
All right, it says, hear ye the word which Yahweh was speaking unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. And I can't believe how he basically give an example of Martin Luther himself doing this very thing we're reading here. Right? He described how he went in the forest. He saw the stars in the backgrounds of the fir trees, and he basically cut a tree down and then decorated it with lights. Same thing, right? But it says, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of a workman with an axe. Now, there's a difference. If you know anything about carpentry, and you don't even have to know anything about carpentry, but an axe and a chisel is two different tools.
I know, that's why it's so funny, man. And they'll lie to you dead in your face. They'll tell you this stuff with a straight face, and they must got the Jedi mind trick or something with them, because they expect you to believe it. I would have laughed in his face when he read that to me. I would have just laughed in his face. I said, you a heathen. But read to me out of the version that your grandfather read. You know?
Look, brother, y'all, you send me to the hardware store, right? And you say, brother E, I need you to go buy me an axe, man. Right? Yeah. And you send me to the hardware store. You trying to get this job done. I come back 2 hours later with a chisel. Oh. You trying to cut a tree down. Like, you trying to cut a tree down on the side of the house, right? So you can clear some space. You say, brother E, here go $50, man. Get the best axe you can find. I come back with a chisel.
I was like, damn, man. Did you? I said, did you at least buy a hammer?
Nope.
What am I supposed to do? Stab the tree till it fall down? You know?
As hard as you can, you gotta stab the tree as hard as you can. I come back with a chisel.
Man. I don't know what you did with my money, but you had to go back and get me right there, man. I don't give a damn. I have to bust a cap in your ass for this one.
Like that. Like, I know how much an axe costs. You show up with a chisel. Now y'all see how they twisted that, right? To justify the pagan custom of taking a tree, decorating it, right? So none of this is about that at all. So if you do that, you know, you're okay. That's not a pagan custom, because
well, to be honest with you, it's still custom, because that's what they do. We don't cut them down. We go to the store and buy them, right? Don't they shape them at the store?
Yeah. That's why I say you don't have to cut them today. They already cut.
No. You know? Now they use the craftsman. You know what I'm saying?
Now they do that.
Now they're using the craftsman. They can't get out of it.
You got to shape the tree and everything too, right? You got to.
Yeah.
You know how you trim your hedges. And
you got to even it. Yeah. You got to even it out.
Maybe that's what he's talking about. You know,
trim them bushes.
Look, I'm gonna go get a Christmas tree and tell them I want you to shape this tree to make it look like Martin Luther. Because he was the first one to do this. Right. But we see how they switched it up, how they use other versions of scripture that omit what this is talking about as a means to justify it. Now, once again, all you got to do is go look at the history of the evergreen tree, the fir trees, the groves, right? And how they were used as a form of worship to idols. Or nowhere did the Most High say take a evergreen tree and decorate it in his sight. You know, he when they were building the tabernacle, there was certain types of wood that he said to use. You know, whether it's cedar wood, gopher wood, and stuff like that. You know, they use fir trees. Right, but he never said to decorate them. You know what I mean? And for the sake of argument, Jeremiah 10 does not speak on what type of tree it is. We're just saying that because when you look at the history of it, we see that the types of trees they were using and what those trees represented. The pagans worshiped the fir trees and the evergreen trees because they looked at them as a symbol of everlasting life. Because year round they keep they stay green year round. So they worship those trees. All right. But I wanted y'all to see that, man. This is a prime example of what Christianity is doing now as a means to justify it, or to say that you're not in the wrong, you know, for doing this because it's not a pagan custom. And they tell you that the early Christian fathers did it and all this kind of stuff, but this is after 70 AD when Jerusalem was destroyed and the people were scattered.
What is being done by these pagans with a scarecrow. In other words, just as a scarecrow is a mock representation of a person to scare away birds in a field, but cannot move, talk, or has no life in and of itself, neither does the wooden idol being made by the craftsman. The verse specifically mocks these wooden figures' lack of ability to speak or walk. Why? Because they're being carved with mouths and feet, yet they're still a piece of lifeless wood. This wouldn't make any sense if what is being talked about in context looked like a tree. And that's besides the point that it would make no sense for God to be telling the ancient Israelites to avoid making Christmas trees, which wouldn't be done for thousands of years in the future, and thus have no understandable application for Jeremiah's immediate audience.
Did y'all hear what he said?
Mm-hmm.
So
like
never mind.
What you talk about, Willis?
Yeah, never mind it mentioned it as a custom of the heathen. So you're not even talking about one group of heathens. It just simply said the custom of the heathen. So as many heathen nations that do this as a custom. You know.
Hold on, rewind that.
Specifically mocks these wooden figures' lack of ability to speak or walk. Why? Because they're being carved with mouths and feet, yet they're still a piece of lifeless wood. This wouldn't make any sense if what is being talked about in context looked like a tree. And that's besides the point that it would make no sense for God to be telling the ancient Israelites to avoid making Christmas trees, which wouldn't be done for thousands of years in the future, and thus have no understandable application for Jeremiah's immediate audience.
Wow.
So once again, he's being technical, saying that it's not mentioning Christmas trees.
Wow.
You know. But
look how straight he trying to hold his face. Look like he can't even believe he said that. Look at his face.
He can't wait to let that shit out.
I can't believe I said this. And they're believing.
No, they serious. He's serious. He's serious. He one of them, so he can't help but to be serious. What y'all expect? But
military serious.
Yeah. That's that teacher tight lip serious right there. How you in elementary school? Your teacher,
for real.
That's that tight lip. Yeah, he for real. But he's saying that this basically wouldn't fit talking about Christmas trees with Jeremiah's audience. When, once again, if you look at Jeremiah 10 and how it's set up, right after it describes the cutting down of the tree from the forest, decking it with silver and with gold, fastening it with nails and with hammers, that it move not, right? They are upright as the palm tree. Well, of course, right? If you're talking about this being an idol that they fashioned and made, what they made and laying down, right? It's describing this tree that's cut down out of the forest as upright as a palm tree, right? But then when you get to verse 6 and you read down, it says, "For as much as there is none like unto thee, O Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations?"
Wait a minute. It just went to a comparison then. It went from 5 to 6 to a comparison. So who is like thee? So the most they was talking about an idol then, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Because the idols that's their gods, the idols.
Right.
But it's just like what was one of the things it said the ancient Druids worshiped the fir tree, the evergreen tree for everlasting life. Right? That's why they worship that tree. But who is like unto the Most High that they could give everlasting life? Ain't no. That's why it's saying, it says, "For as much as there is none like unto thee," can't get no everlasting life from that. Now it's ironic because the Most High made that. He made that and put it in the earth to symbolize his creation and what he can do with his creation, just like the seasons, right? We go through 4 seasons. The seasons symbolize newness of life, resurrection, and newness of life, right? Every season, you go through each season and they just keep going. So all these things represent the will of the Most High and the plan of the Most High, what he was going to do, right? It says, "Thou art great, and thy name is great in might. Who would not fear thee, O King of nations? For to thee doth it appertain, for as much as among all the wise men of the nations, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto thee," right? But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. Then it says, "Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Uphaz, the work of the workmen and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men." So now it's talking about these idols made of gold and silver and how they putting clothes on these idols. That's where the letter of Jeremiah is talking about, right? It says, look what it's saying about these idols. It says, "For like as a vessel that a man useth is nothing, work when it is broken. Even so it is with their gods. When they be set up in the temple, their eyes be full of dust through the feet of them that come in. And as the doors are made sure on every side upon him that offended the king as being committed to suffer debt, even so the priests make fast their temples with doors, with locks and bars, lest their Elohim be spoiled with robbers. So in other words, they gotta set their idols up in temples and lock the doors, or else the robbers will come in and spoil their idols. It says they light them candles, yea, more than themselves, where they cannot see one. They are as one of the beams of the temple, yet they say their hearts are gnawed upon by things creeping on the earth. And when they eat them and their clothes, they feel it not. So these idols got clothes that the bugs and the creatures eating up on everything, and they can't even feel it. This is how it's describing their idols, right? Now you wouldn't put clothes on a tree, which is why in Jeremiah chapter 10, verses 2-4, you don't see that, because this is a form of an idol that they worship, cutting the tree out the forest and worshiping the tree, paying homage to the tree. And then as you go down further, it's describing other forms of idolatry, how they fashion idols, take silver and gold and everything, and make idols, fashion idols out of it, and then put clothes on them. Blue and purple is their clothing. And while these idols are set up, it says that they are as one of the beams of the temple, yet they say their hearts are gnawed upon by things creeping out of the earth. Right, so you're talking about two different things, or all the different versions of idolatry is being described in Jeremiah 10. From them taking trees out the forest and decorating them, to them using the materials to shape them and fashion them into idols. But we see that this custom was well before Christianity came around. The custom of making idols, carving idols, and the custom of taking trees out the forest and decorating them and making them stand upright and fastening them, because that's the only way you can make a tree stand upright, is you got to fasten it. You don't necessarily have to fasten a idol that you carve out of gold or silver or anything like that. You just fashion it, shape it, then set it up how you want it. And if you want to move it, you can move it. But if you want a tree to stand upright, you got to fasten it. But that's how they manipulate, just to justify keeping paganism, worshiping idols. Go ahead and get you a Christmas tree. You know what I mean? Then he gave an example of Martin Luther, word for word, doing what Jeremiah 10 said don't do. But still describe it as a Christian custom.
Busted. Got him busted in the act, and they still describe it as Christian.
Yep. It's still nothing wrong with it. Right. But it's becoming more and more clear and apparent, and at this point, I really believe that if you can't see it, you really don't want to see it. That's where I stand with it. Because after you try to justify it by these means, tell them to show it to you in scripture where the ancestors and forefathers did this stuff, and the Most High accepted it. You won't find it, because it was not something that he commanded or ordained our people to do. It was something that our people picked up by the strength of, you know, being subject to the nations, worshiping their God. That's why you got a Christmas tree in your house. It's not because it's of the Most High, it's because it's a custom of the heathens, and the Most High scattered us among the heathen and made us subject to the heathen and their gods. That's what Christianity is. It's idol worship. It's a fulfillment of prophecy. When the Most High said in Deuteronomy 28 that because you won't serve me with joyfulness of heart and gladness for the abundance of all things, he said you will serve your enemies in hunger and nakedness and in thirst and in want of all things, and he should put a yoke of iron upon your neck. And that's what we see. During the Martin Luther Reformation, where was our people? What were they doing? What position did they hold in certain parts of Europe and especially in America? Because during that time, a lot of Europeans was being shipped over to America.
And during that time, we were being persecuted.
By who? By those people.
By
those
them.
same people.
Mm-hmm.
By the same people who gave you that custom. You see? So, but that's, you know, let them hear that. Now that's you being a victim when you bring that stuff up. You got a victim mentality, you know, but I don't know who wouldn't be considered a victim if they had everything stolen from them. You know, if you have your identity, if somebody stole your wallet right now, stole all your information and went and made a fake identity in your name and got all kinds of money and whatever, you know, it wouldn't stop you from doing what you have to do from day to day as a person, as a human. But it will make things more difficult for you. And that's the position that we're in, right? Because we've been separated from who we are. We don't have our true identity, right? We don't have our wealth, our resources, our land. Day-to-day life is harder for us as a people. We have to struggle more. We have to strive more, right? It don't stop us from doing it. It just makes us work harder, right? But it definitely doesn't take away the fact that you are a victim of identity theft. You know, if somebody steal your identity, you're not a victim of identity theft. Somebody stole your identity and went and generated wealth from your identity while you struggling from day to day. You're a victim. And calling it out doesn't mean you have a victim mentality. It just means that you are aware that something has happened to you and your people that hasn't been reconciled. You're not going to stop doing what you have to do from day to day, right? But you are going to still remember and acknowledge that in spite of this, you're still owed something. You're still a victim. Something was done to you that wasn't rectified. And that's what they don't want to address. But Christmas, Christianity, Christmas trees, all that stuff is still pagan. And one thing it helped me to see is that a lot of these newer versions of scripture is designed for that very purpose, to twist the true meaning of scripture and what's really being said. And this is why you have so many versions, you know, how many different newer versions of the Bible do you need to get an understanding? Brother Yash, I remember when I was younger, people used to turn away from the Bible, and that's when we had the KJV. People used to dismiss it, and you know why? They used to say it's because I don't understand it, right? They used to say that. They used to get those newer versions of the Bible that was coming out during those times being more prevalent because it supposedly was written in a more modern version of English that we understand today. Not realizing that those versions of the Bible pretty much twisted a lot of things to fit the Christian narrative. It's just like if you was to read Leviticus 11, where it talk about the dietary requirements of what to eat and what not to eat. It says anything in the waters that don't have both fins and scales, right, is considered an abomination. So if it's in the water and they don't have both fins and scales, it's an abomination. Well, in one of the newer versions, it says anything in the water that don't have fins or scales. Now, what's the difference with that, Brother Yash? The difference is if you read the newer version, it's basically telling you it has to have one or the other. If it don't have fins or scales. But according to our version that we go by, it got to have both fins and scales. So based on the newer versions, right, the newer versions, the newer interpretations, catfish is clean to some people, according to that. Because catfish have fins, but they don't have scales. You see the manipulation in that? And that's what the newer versions, it wasn't to give you a better understanding or anything like that. It was to twist up what was already there to fit the direction that Christianity wanted to go in. Then from there, you start getting newer versions. It's always a newer version to come out that has a better understanding. But when you read them, you see that it's taking you away from the original understanding. And so that's just something we got to be aware of. You want to close out with something, Brother Yash?
Well, yeah, but basically that's it in a nutshell. And like Brother E said, and all these, and they come up with all these new revisions and all these other things. One, to keep us in sin, but the main point is true, so that they don't have to address what they done to us and who we are as a people. Like you said, you're right. It was hard to understand. It was hard to get an understanding of the scriptures from the way that we've been taught through Christianity. And I remember it was a long time ago. I had to pray and I asked the Most High for understanding. And that's how everything used to, that's why it used to seem like everything I was reading in the book was happening to our people. But even with that, I had to battle the thought that Christianity had placed in me. It caused an internal battle because we was represented by a whole total different set of people. You know? So you got to take these type of lessons and look at them from what they actually are, because really what they really doing, they just showing us how they lie, deceive, twist, and manipulate the word to justify their understanding. And we just got to be able to look them square in the eye and call BS on it. Because that's all it is. You know, that last guy we seen, that's the guy who took down Billy Carson.
Yeah, he destroyed Billy Carson.
You know, and we sitting over, and when he was even, and you know, he could come up to me with that old and pull out all these books, how and show how he do this for a living, and I'll still destroy him in the matter of seconds, because I'll just discredit everything that he ever did. I say, so what? So you spend a whole lot of money and you learned how to lie and deceive and trick other people, but that ain't gonna work here, buddy. Because all that stuff you talking, but who are them? Who are those people over there really? And who are you? For me to have to listen. And what made you an expert if you are not the real people? And how could they be the real people when they originate from Europe? But anyway, let them do what they want. Because we don't even know, this might be their last Christmas. Because they can skirt around us all they want. They can twist the issues and just do everything. Like even with these sky anomalies that's going on now all over the place. I look at all this stuff, I say, well, all I see is the great extremes that these people will go through. Not to address us, who is the real elephant in the room. That's all I gotta say.
Indeed. Want to give our praises to the Most High once again. Want to thank y'all for your time and everything. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Both channels, T.I.R, Truth is Racist, and Resurrecting the Truth. And check out trueebry.com when you get a chance. I want to thank y'all. Our praise to the Most High. See y'all on the next one. Shalom.
Where our people suffering. They're looking for something to look up to. They're looking for a change. How long?